The world of Eberron doesn't really fit into the Great Wheel cosmology. Wizards of the Coast wants it to, especially now with 5e, but it just kind of doesn't. Eberron was written with its own cosmology that was intended to be, well, just for Eberron. And with all the talk of multiverses and campaign settings being linked together, what should the link be? I mean, historically, it was Spelljammer and Planescape, and those were our link settings, and essentially saying that we can have all of these different prime material planes, but there's going to be this one great wheel and one set of planes, albeit infinite, that exist. But Eberron was intended to not fit into that model. Hello everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent, and of course this is all mythological, made-up fantasy stuff, but we as lore nerds want to know if there is a purposeful design to the worlds of Dungeons & Dragons, and Eberron is an outlier that makes us ask, should Eberron be part of the Great Wheel, or should it stand alone? For those of you not familiar with the Eberron Cosmology, you're in luck because that is what this video is about, and specifically the 13 planes that orbit Eberron and their importance to the setting. Now, many would ask the question, can we reach Eberron from another campaign setting? But I want to ask the question, should Eberron be accessible from another campaign setting? Quick recap, the world of Eberron was created by 3 progenitor dragons. These dragons are named Sybaris, Eberron, and Kyber. All 3 of these dragons created the Eberron cosmology of all of the different planes, and then they met in the center, the prime material plane. And they took aspects of all of the other different planes of existence, and they created the prime material by forging together all of that stuff into a central plane. In this way, the prime material plane isn't just the center of the Eberron cosmology, it is also a reflection of the other planes. Evil Kyber then betrayed her siblings and murdered Sybaris. Eberron then jumped into the fight to fight Kyber, but could not defeat her. In an attempt to contain undefeatable evil, Eberron used her own body to bind and trap Kyber. Now, Sybaris' body became a set of rings that orbit the planet, and Eberron became the planet itself. And Kyber became the Underdark, but not the Underdark that you would think of in the Forgotten Realms. It's kind of akin to Greek mythology Hades. Hades is below us, but it's also this other separate world. You don't really dig a hole to get to Hades, yet you might discover a cave system that could magic young Orpheus there. Now, it is believed that Eberron brought life, and so all living things are connected to her. The rings of Sybaris brought magic to the world, and Kyber brought about the things that lurk in the darkness. Now, the solar system of the Eberron campaign setting, well, Eberron sits in the material plane, floating in space. There is a sun and the planet Eberron. Eberron has 12 moons that orbit it, but there are no other planets. Now, the 13 planes of existence are often depicted in art as orbiting Eberron when they really aren't, so don't confuse them with the moons. The planar orbits is an unscientific way for us mere mortals to understand it. In reality, the planes have an influence upon the prime material plane that waxes and wanes. And tracking this influence is where we get the idea of a plane being closer or further away. When a plane's influence is low, we say that plane is remote. When the plane's influence is high, it is known as being coterminous. A plane's influence affects a specific region, granting new or enhanced powers, or bringing about monsters. It might even be an important part to a ritual for a certain plane to be coterminous at a specific time. Now, influential planes then create the Eberron idea of manifest zones, which is the term for when a plane is coterminous and directly affects the physical world. Now, we've seen this in other settings involving the Shadowfell and the Feywild. A place adjacent to the Feywild might have larger animals and more plant life than normal. It's the same idea with Eberron's manifest zones. A manifest zone that links to Risia, the plane of ice, might make make the area much colder than normal. Now, the city of Sharn holds the most famous manifest zone, which is connected to Cyrania. Now, Cyrania holds large floating cities, and Sharn benefits from the connection by keeping their own towers floating, as well as holding up unusual architecture. There's actually a great website, and I'll put a link down below that maps out the moons, the planes, and their relation to the date in Eberron. Now, I wouldn't follow this 100%. I'll change a coterminous day to whatever I need it to be for the story, but this is kind of a fun tool to play with and grab ideas from. The 13 outer planes could probably be 13-ish separate videos, but I'll give a short summary of each one in this one. Now, some of the planes have things in common with the Great Wheel planes, but if you dive deeper, they are quite different. So don't be fooled by my brief descriptions. First is Danvi, the perfect order. Danvi is the manifestation of law, a plane of order and harmony. There are angels and immortals that live here, but the main inhabitants are these ant people known as Formians. There is a mathematical symmetry to this place. Plants grow perfectly trimmed, and I hear it's very nice. Also Modrons. Dalcor, mortals, when they dream, they visit Dalcor. The plane's natural inhabitants are the Quarry, who are these psychic symbiotes. The Quarry are well known because they tried to invade and conquer Eberron. Now, this particular plane changes shape depending on the visitor's dreams. Its natural state would be a sea of formless dream stuff. The realm was separated by Eberron entirely during the Age of the Giants, 40,000 years ago, when the Quarry tried to invade, and since then there has never been a Dalcor manifestation zone. However, the Quarry try other means to gain entry into Eberron. The Kalishtar race is a human body that is also home to a Quarry parasite, or symbiote. And now, it should be noted that elves and Kalishtar do not dream, and thus do not visit Dalcor. Dol-Ur, the realm of the dead. This plane is simply a location where the souls of most mortals go. It isn't a reward or a punishment, it's the location they go. And I like to think of it as a spiritual gravity. You fall down. That is the location in the direction that you fall. Home to apathy, hopelessness, and despair. Souls eventually fade or transition, but where they go, nobody knows. Mortals who visit this plane and stay too long have a chance of turning into a shade. Fernia, the Sea of Fire, this plane is composed of liquid flame, and within the sea is a single landmass residing in the center, home to the mythical city of Brass. Fire elementals and Afridi can be found here. Irian, the Eternal Day, is the positive energy plane. Not necessarily good aligned creatures live here, but the plane is saturated with positive or radiant energy. There are lots of crystals, mountains of quartz, and rivers of liquid glass. A giant white sun hangs in the sky. Key 3, the churning chaos, is home to the Sladi and would most resemble Limbo on the Great Wheel. It is a place of unrest where matter and energy morphs and forms into different substances. Gravity changes direction, and the Githzerai have made a home here. Risia, the plane of ice, is many, many layers of snow and ice, a constant blizzard on the surface with dark gray clouds. It would not be that uncommon to find creatures preserved in the ice, sometimes with their magic items. An average temperature of 0 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 17 degrees Celsius. Serania, the azure sky, made famous due to its connection to Sharn via the manifest zone. This plane is an endless expanse of blue skies. Large floating cities dot the skyline, and the only inhabitants here are angels. Lemania, the Twilight Forest, is nature itself. Animals, plants, and magical beasts live here. There are no cities, no settlements, just vast jungles, swamps, mountains, and forests. Lycanthropes have a special affinity for this place, and if you practice druidic magic, it's enhanced here. Mabar, the Endless Night, is a black, darkened realm. The smallest amount of light is devoured quickly by the realm itself. Suffused with negative energy, it is home to demons and other creatures. Many undead on Eberron are created by pulling energy from Mabar. Shavarath, the Battleground, is a realm of war. Now, there are 3 groups in constant battle for control of the realm. The Celestial Archons, the Infernal Devils, and the Horde of Demons fight each other constantly. When you summon a demon or devil, they come from Shavarath. Now, this plane is hostile in itself, with clouds of blades that fly like a murmuration of birds, tearing apart living flesh. Thelanius, the fairy court, is also home to many forests and beautiful lakes. The Eladrin and other fey creatures call this place home, and magic seems to hang in the air. Arcane spells are greatly enhanced on this plane, and some druids can acquire a strong connection to this place. Finally, the last realm is Zoryat, the realm of madness. Best to think of this as the far realm. It is a plane beyond description. You risk your mind shattering if you spend too long visiting or pondering this plane. Aberrations make their home here, as well as the Dalkir. Now, the Dalkir are beautiful humanoids with madness in their eyes. They once tried to conquer Eberron, but in an alliance of goblins and orcs repelled the forces. They bound 6 of the Dalkir on Eberron, or in Khyber rather, who could potentially break free. Now, spoilers, it is possible to travel to and from Eberron from another campaign setting via the plains or a different route, in theory. No official path has ever been found. Eberron is believed to be part of the Great Wheel cosmology, except it is hidden deep in the ethereal plane. One might find a way to Eberron through the ethereal plane by going into the deep ethereal. Now, in the book Eberron Rising from the Last War, it specifically states that the cosmology of Eberron is designed to prevent travel to and from other worlds. The cosmology protects Eberron from the influence of other gods, celestials, and fiends. That protection is symbolized or directly powered by the Rings of Sybaris, Eberron's fallen sister keeping her safe even in death. Now, it makes me wonder, if you ask a demon or a celestial from Eberron, would it know about the Great Wheel? Would it know about other planes? Would they know about the 9 Hells or Mount Celestia? The 7th level spell, Dream of the Blue Veil, found in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, gave characters the means to travel to other campaign settings for 5th edition. This feels fine to me for Greyhawk, Tyrell, or Kryn, where there are already other paths to navigate to and from those worlds. But for Eberron, it feels out of place. To me, one of the reasons Eberron is special is that it is separate. To answer the question, yes, we can travel to and from Eberron to other settings, but should you? Well, if it fits your story, go right ahead, but I would So when I originally recorded that, I was trying to explain that I don't think you should be able to travel to Eberron. But since recording that, the more I think about it, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, absolutely, you should be able to go from one campaign setting to another. You should be able to go from my version of Eberron to your version of Eberron or Keith Baker's version of Eberron somehow within the world of D&D. Why would we limit ourselves like that? But just because you can doesn't mean that it should be easy. And maybe Dream of the Blue Veil makes it a little too easy. I'm not entirely sure. I've never used it, but I love the idea of traversing into the deep ethereal. All of a sudden, you're in a black void, traveling a year and a week and a day to arrive at a completely different place that is cut off from all of the other gods and a truly unique campaign setting. So I wanted to stop and throw this edit in because I changed my mind and I wanted to explain it. If you're interested in learning more about the planes, I recommend the DM's Guild book Exploring Eberron, written by Keith Baker and his team. If you ever wanted to run a Planar adventure in Eberron, well, this is really worth the price. Thank you for watching, everyone. Links to all of my Eberron resources are in the description. Sound off if you want more Eberron videos, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Happy Planar travels.